Okay, so today we're doing a deep dive into something pretty unique, I think.
Definitely unique.
Yeah.
Really fascinating stuff.
It's called 𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗓𝗔 TATANKA.
Yeah, you got it.
And we've got some source material here basically laying out why the bottom of the world.
Literally the bottom of the world.
Yeah, pretty much. This 𝗧𝗔𝗓𝗔𝗓𝗔 region
Yeah.
is being looked at for this project.
Yeah.
And on the flip side of that, we're also looking at why this TATANKA project seems like it would be a good fit for such a remote and kind of wild place, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just jumping right into that, what really hit me from the source material was this idea of mutual benefit.
Okay.
Like, it's not just about putting something somewhere. It's
Right.
like this deep alignment between what they're trying to do and what Magellanica is, like, as a place, both in terms of the environment, but also the history and culture.
Yeah, okay, so let's kind of back up just a little bit, I guess,
Yeah.
and paint a picture of this Magellanica region, right? So we're
Well,
talking
that's a big area.
huge. So the Southern Andes, Patagonia, obviously
Sierra del Fuego,
Tierra del Fuego.
Magellan Strait.
Yeah, so that whole area, and then those islands, Scotia Arc, and then even extending to the Antarctic continent.
It's a vast region.
They call it the last true frontier in the material.
Yeah.
So you can kind of get a sense of like how wild it is down there, I think, right?
Oh, absolutely. That description, it really brings to mind, this idea of a place that's not been completely, like, I don't know, overtaken, right? Like, it's still
Yeah.
got that wildness to it, but it's also more than just that romantic idea of a frontier. What it tells us is that these are some of the most isolated places geographically and, like, ecologically, like, they're really intact,
Yeah.
And the source material points out this really interesting duality.
Okay.
It's got this immense natural beauty, but it's also got these environmental challenges, and it's like that combination
Right.
that makes you really stop and think about what kind of projects could not just exist there, but like actually make sense there.
Yeah, actually thrive there.
Thrive, exactly.
yeah.
Be necessary,
Okay.
even.
Yeah, so this is, I guess, a good lead-in to like why
Yeah.
Magellanica and TATANKA, why they might be a perfect match.
A good pair.
A good pair, yeah.
Yeah.
So the source gives us like 6 key reasons
That's
why.
it.
6.
Okay.
And the first one that they point out is sustainability in pretty harsh environment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just picturing this part of the world, you've got the Patagonian winds.
Intense.
Right, and you think of like the icy conditions around Tierra del Fuego.
You think of like Shackleton,
Yeah, it's not an easy place to build
No.
and to operate.
No, it's not the most forgiving environment.
No, so what I found interesting was how the source material kind of flipped this.
Okay.
And they kind of presented these challenges as opportunities.
Yeah.
Like TATANKA, from what they're saying, isn't about like forcing this conventional kind of development onto the landscape.
It's not about imposing something
No.
from the outside, yeah.
Yeah, and they talk about how instead they're looking at building and like operating in a way that really fits into the environment.
Responsive,
Yeah, responsive, yeah.
integrated, yeah.
And they talk a lot about, for example, harnessing the renewable energy that the region has a lot of, like the wind.
Of course, I mean, they have so much wind.
Right, exactly.
You got geothermal energy.
Yeah, you've got a lot.
Yeah, you've got it all right there.
And they were even talking about like maybe a facility that could be powered by the very forces that make the environment so challenging.
I mean, can you imagine harnessing the power of the wind that makes it so difficult to be there in the first place?
That's a pretty powerful image.
It is, it is.
So moving on, the second point that the source makes is about the culture and the history of Magellanica.
Right, because it's not just like an empty space waiting for something to happen.
Right, exactly.
It's got this deep, deep history.
Yeah. And indigenous people have been living in this region for thousands of years.
Thousands of years. You've got the Yagan, the Selknam, the 𝗑ᗕᗕᗕ.
And this is something the source emphasizes. Like, the Tonka is not just,
Paying lip service.
yeah, they're not just saying, oh, yeah, okay, we acknowledge you.
Yeah, they're talking about actively engaging
Yeah.
with these communities.
Right, learning from them.
Yeah, like learning from their traditional knowledge of
Yeah.
how to live in this challenging environment.
Right, and how to navigate it and how to strive in it.
Right. Like
Yeah.
their understanding of the ecology of the place passed down for generations.
And it makes you think, like, what can we learn from that?
Right.
Like, are there solutions, like, to modern problems
Yeah, to modern environmental challenges.
that we can find in their ancient wisdom,
That's the question, isn't it? And then, of course, you layer on top of that, you've got, the explorers like Magellan,
Magellan,
Darwin. So it's like it's got this multi-layered history.
Yeah, so it's not just this blank slate. It's got this connection to the land that goes so far back.
Deep, deep roots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this leads to their third point, which is the geopolitical and strategic location of Magellanica.
Right at the tip of South America.
Yeah, you've got the Atlantic on one side.
Pacific on the other.
And Antarctica, just, right there.
It's like a gateway.
And the source was suggesting that this location, as the world changes,
as things change,
it's only going to become more and more important.
More and more vital.
So I thought that was really interesting because you think about it, right? Like,
yeah.
If you've got a project like TATANKA, that's all about sustainability.
Yeah.
And you put it in a place that's going to be more and more important for things like trade and research.
Ecotourism, even, if it's done responsibly.
Yeah, and they talked about climate change and how that might open up new shipping routes.
Yeah, it's all connected.
And this region could become a really important hub.
And then there's the isolation factor, right?
Yeah.
It's a secure location, minimal disruption.
Right, to existing ecosystems.
Yeah, and it's vast. Like, there's space to do something significant without, encroaching on everything.
It makes you wonder, can we use these remote places that are strategically important,
Yeah.
Can we use them as models for development in the 21st century?
Can we do it right this time?
Yeah, so that's a big question.
It is.
So point number 4 that they make is about...
This is a big one.
Yeah, environmental preservation and conservation.
It's huge.
Huge. Yeah. So we're talking about ecosystems that are they're remarkable.
Remarkable.
The Patagonian steppe.
The rainforests of Tierra del Fuego.
Completely different, right?
Totally different.
And then you've got the Antarctic Peninsula.
Yeah. So important for the planet.
And what I thought was really cool about this point was that they weren't just talking about,
not harming.
Yeah, minimizing the damage, minimizing the impact.
Shredding lightly.
Right.
But they were talking about actually doing something for these places.
Yeah, taking a role in protecting them.
Contributing.
Yeah, contributing to, habitat preservation.
Research, sustainable practices, all of that.
And the source even mentions, the spiritual quality of the place.
I was going to say.
Like those glaciers in the mountains.
It's almost like you can't help but feel a sense of awe.
Yeah.
When you see pictures, right?
Oh.
Or if you're lucky enough to go there.
Right. And it makes you think about how a project like this could help foster that sense of respect and responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
For these places. They're worth protecting for their own sake.
Exactly.
Not just for what we can get out of them.
Yeah. So the 5th point that the source makes is about innovation and education.
It's like they took that isolation that we were just talking about as a challenge.
Right.
And they flipped it.
And said,
actually, this could be a good thing.
Yeah.
Think about the potential for focus.
Yeah. And collaboration. Collaboration. Yeah. You're out there away from everything with a group of people.
Yeah.
All focused on this one thing.
And they were talking about, TATANKA as a place that could host educational programs.
Workshops.
Yeah, workshops.
Yeah.
And maybe even bringing together that traditional knowledge
that
we were just talking about.
To indigenous knowledge, right?
Yeah, with modern technology.
Cutting-edge technology.
Yeah, a blending.
It's like this recurring theme, right? This synergy between the ancient and the future.
It's really cool.
It is. And then, of course, you've got the proximity to Antarctica.
Yeah.
So it could be this hub for research.
Climate change, renewable energy.
The big questions.
Yeah, so it's not just building.
It's building a community.
Yeah, it's fostering an environment.
An intellectual environment.
Yeah, in this really remote place.
That's the key.
Right. Okay, so the last point, number 6.
This one's kind of poetic, I think.
It is.
It is.
They describe Magellanica as a bridge between the southern Andes and Antarctica.
Which is so cool.
It is.
Because it's like you've got these two regions that are so different.
Yeah.
But they're both so important for understanding our planet.
And they're right there.
They're connected.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets really big, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not just about one specific location anymore.
It's about the whole system.
The interconnectedness of these two vital areas.
And they're suggesting that TATANKA could be...
a link.
A physical link.
Yeah, a physical link and maybe even a philosophical link.
Like a point of view?
Yeah, a way of seeing the Earth and its future.
And they even said, a sanctuary...
This place for reflection.
Yeah, a place to think about.
Quick question.
Yeah, in this incredible setting.
You can't help but be inspired, right?
So that image of a bridge is really powerful, I think.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the source concludes by suggesting that actually just the act of building TATANKA.
In this environment.
Yeah, symbol.
Of resilience, of vision.
Yeah, like it makes a statement.
It does, and they draw this parallel to the indigenous communities who have not just survived, but thrived in this region for thousands of years.
It's amazing.
It is, and it speaks to this, like, deep human capacity to adapt and overcome, you know?
Yeah, it's inspiring.
And it turns TATANKA into something more than just a building project.
Yeah, it's like a demonstration
Of what's possible.
when you combine, like, innovation
With respect for the natural world.
Yeah, even in the most challenging environments, right?
It's like a beacon of hope.
For the future.
For a better future.
So, I mean, putting it all together, the source is making this really strong case, I think, that 𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗡𝗞 is...
It's the ideal place for this.
Yeah, it's remote.
Rich cultural history.
Incredible natural beauty.
All the ingredients.
And they're saying that, you know, the goal is to create a self-sustaining operation that learns from the past.
Looks to the future.
And hopefully it will inspire other projects
Around the globe.
around the world to be more sustainable.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I thought it was really interesting that they included that Sitting Bull quote.
Oh, yeah, the one about
Yielding to our neighbors, even our animal neighbors.
Yeah, it's powerful.
It is. And it really ties into everything they were saying about TATANKA.
About respect for the land.
About coexisting with indigenous communities.
Recognizing the interconnectedness.
Above everything, yeah.
It's a deep ethical foundation for a project like this.
So, listener, hopefully you can kind of get a sense now of the vision behind TATANKA and 𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗡𝗞.
It's so multi-layered, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not just about building something. It's about considering so many different things.
The environment.
The indigenous culture.
Strategic importance.
The potential for education, for connecting different parts of the world.
It's huge.
It really is. And I think after this deep dive into the material, you're left with this question.
Like, what does it mean to build in these remote and demanding environments?
Yeah, like what can we learn from that?
About resilience, about innovation, about our relationship with the planet.
With different cultures?
Like, what does it all mean?
Yeah, so that's something to think about.
Yeah, something to chew on.
And if you're interested in learning more, we encourage you to go and check out the details of this project.
Armed with this new understanding.
Yeah, you've got the core principles now.
The context.
The context, the vision.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us.
On the deep dive.
For another deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.